Well, hello folks, welcome along to a new video on the channel. My name is the Custard Prophet and we're back here for a Tennis Manager 2022 video with a little bit of a difference. We're going to be talking all things training. Okay, do you use this training tab you can see above me right now? No? A bit? Yeah, a little bit? Well, if you do or if you don't, this is the video for you, because we're going to talk about what this training tab is all about, how to get the best out of it, and hopefully it's going to be a bit of a conversation, because I don't know everything that goes on in this training tab. I haven't optimized everything associated with it, so I want your feedback as well. What do you do with training? How do you make it work really well for you? If there is something I'm missing out in this video that after watching it, please drop down in the comments and let me know what you do. This is a video for everyone, so watch the video, read the comments as well, and hopefully it will be enlightening. Right, please like the video first of all. Let's get it seen by people. Subscribe to the channel if you are new for Tennis Elbow Manager. Subscribe to the channel if you are new for Tennis Manager content. Let's dive in. Okay, so first of all, let's think about what training is all about in this game. If you're completely new to the game, this is a tennis management game where you're basically trying to take one or maybe two players and you're going to manage them. You're not actually playing as them, you're managing them through their careers and hopefully taking to the top of tennis. And you do that by training them, by giving them match tactics, by scheduling their tournaments, etc, etc, and putting a group of staff around them who are going to make sure they get the best out of them. So it's a fun game in the concept of sports management, and if you are new to this game, give it a try. Why not have a look at my Let's Play series and you can have a feel for what it's all about. So the training aspect of this is getting the player attributes, which are these things that you can see. So we have technical, physical and mental attributes, trying to improve those attributes to get this player better in the areas that you need them to be. Now the majority of these can be trained, so all of the technical and all of the physical attributes can be trained, but only the first four of these mental attributes can be trained. So the confidence, composure, killer instinct and fighting spirit, as far as I understand, cannot be trained, and I do not understand how to change them. You do find randomly over time you get events where these things do improve, sort of a big step up as you reach a certain age or as you get to a certain level of ability, but I don't know when that happens or why that happens, and I would love to have some clarity of that down in the comments if you understand. So what you're trying to do is improve these different attributes, and you've got this lovely little diagram down here, this spiderweb diagram, to give you an idea of where your player is strongest. And you can see, because of these issues around the mental attributes, our player is weakest with their mental attributes, but they're particularly strong with the serve and net play, should be, although I think intelligence we certainly are getting up there with some of those things. Right, so let's have a look what the training tab looks like, because it's a little bit scary when you get to it. What things do you need to look at to be effective at training? So it's just two screens you need to look at. Screen number one is this one. This is where all the training happens. So you've got your different types of training running down the side here. So your technical training, we'll move on to the next week where training's actually able to happen. So technical training, and you've got a bunch of different types of training there: physical training, tactical training. So those are the three different areas. But then there are some other things here. You have your game plan. So if you've got multiple different game plans, we play primarily with just the primary game plan. But if you've got more than one, you need to make sure your player knows what they're doing with all of their game plans, so you can swap between them and you won't have a downgrade in your play. Surface mastery, so if you are changing to a different court type in a few weeks, maybe you want to chuck some of these in just to get them used to playing on those courts, to make sure that you aren't negatively reacting to changing court. And care and rest. So there are other rest options as well, and you want to make sure you put enough of that in so the player at the end of the week isn't completely shattered. Now, looking through this, you may, when you look through your own, you may see that there are additional things that you've got that I don't have, or vice versa. And the reason for this is to do with your academy and what you started with, or where you are at the minute. So depending on your academy infrastructure, which you can reach here, so this is the infrastructure. Depending on this, what you've actually got in your academy, that will impact the sort of trainings that you're able to do. So for example, recently I upgraded the track, or put a track in, and that gave us sprint training. So if I do this again, we'll then get an obstacle course. So you can't see what that improves. It does give you an alternate training ability, and there's a whole bunch of these, as you can see, which are going to upgrade your training and allow you to do more things in training. So the more developed your academy, the better your ability to train your players is. But obviously there's a lot of money that needs to be spent to be able to do this. So if you click this button down here, you can see all of the options available. So you can see that there are a whole bunch here. Some of these I do have, some of these I don't, and you can see I don't have the muscle care room, so I can't do electrotherapy or hydrotherapy. Looking at some of the physical ones, you can see here, this is what the obstacle course does. It gives a really big boost to agility, and then you've got other ones, so the long swim. You've got, that's an improvement to stamina and natural fitness, and you can see there's a bunch of other ones in here which are going to be really, really helpful for you. So that's the important things. The other thing to think about is the staff that you've got to do that training. So obviously you can deliver some of the training, but your staff will have different abilities to deliver that training. This is not something I have upgraded at all in my game here, and it's something I really need to do something about. So you can see here, this player, Kristina Strakova, this coach is got good service. She's good with her service, but maybe not so good with the sort of forehand, backhand and stuff like that. So this person's actually quite good for what we want, because she's good with the serves and the volleys, but not so good with those other things. So getting the right trainer is going to be really important for you, because that is only going to improve their ability to train your players more effectively. Now, I've not done anything on this to check whether this happens, to check exactly how this works, but I assume, and tell me in the comments if this isn't the case, that the better your trainer is at doing a particular activity, the more quickly that training will be improved. Okay, so let's talk about the sort of training plans that I put together for my player. So the important thing to think about is what you are actually wanting your player to look like at the end of it. Now, as I mentioned, Shaunetta here is a serve and volleyer. So what do I need for her to be good at? Well, I need her to be able to serve with good accuracy and good power, because I need to be able to run behind that serve. Shaunetta needs to be able to run behind that serve and follow up with a volley. So yes, we need to focus in on that serve power and accuracy. That is really important. Other thing that we need to be able to do, as it sounds, is to volley. So you can see here we've put a lot of effort into making those volleying attributes really, really strong. Obviously, the other thing that needs to happen is you're going to return serve. So you want to be able to get that return back. And this is something that we maybe haven't focused on enough, but it's still pretty good at 13. But everything else is kind of either at that same level or a bit lower. So you can see I've kind of focused in on the things that I really need Shaunetta to be good at, and maybe left some of those other things behind. Obviously, you also want to think about how you want to improve your player physically and mentally. Thinking about things like, for a volleyer, you want them to have good reflexes. You want them to have good speed to be able to get through to that net. And actually, I had some great comments in the past saying one of the things when you've got a young player that they do is to really focus in on that physical training early doors, just to get the player physically strong and capable, and then they go outside of that and then work on the sort of technical and mental attributes. So they turn them into a bit of a beast able to deal with the rigours of match play, and then they then work on them becoming someone who's more able to do sort of craft and technical stuff. That might be the way you want to go with your young player if you're building them up. But if you've already got a player that you've got who's in adult tennis and you're looking to improve them, say as a baseline player, well, you'll be wanting to make sure that their forehand backhand attributes are well up there. You probably won't care too much about the volleys or the lobs or things like that. Maybe that's not so important to you, depending on what you're trying to do. So the key thing is thinking about what your player needs to look like, and then deciding which attributes are critical to get you there. So there are some things that can quite significantly affect these attributes here as you go through the season. The one of these is your contracts, so your sponsorships. So you can see here we've got a racket sponsorship and an outfit sponsorship. So this actually has effect on our training, and you can see here that our rackets give us a serve bonus of +1, so we actually have a serve bonus of 19. Here we've got forehand accuracy, that the racket improves it by +1, and the backhand accuracy here by +1. So depending on how good your player is and how good the contract that you've picked up is, that's going to boost things. The other really important thing, and you see there's a lot of minuses there, is your shape. Now if you've got a weak shape, as Shaunetta has, you'll see that there is a reduction in physical attributes and also in some of the technical attributes. And this is something to really take note of, because if you have an excellent shape, the best shape you can get, you'll get a +3 increase in here. So it will take an average player like Shaunetta physically into a really good player just by having good shape. So that's really important to work on. Shape can be improved by lots of physical training, but in my mind the best way to do it is by winning matches. So when you're setting up your schedule, make sure you've got test your player, but also have those tournaments where she's going to get a long way into them, and so she'll play 4 or 5 matches, get all the way to the final, and doing that will improve your shape very quickly. Okay, so how do I set up training? Well, this is fairly easy. There's 2 screens I'm looking at here. Number 1 is reports. This tells you exactly where you are with your training, so what the current level is, what the progress is within that level, and then how much you've improved since last time. So here's all of your attributes that are trainable, and this is where we are within that attribute. So we are 89% of the way through the training of this attribute. The last time we did training, the last week, we improved that by 4.6%, and so we've just got to get another 10% out of this to improve our serve power to a 15. So that tells you an awful lot. And so what I'm often looking here is trying to get some of these important attributes up to the next level. So maybe in the next set of training, what I would be doing here is maybe putting a couple of training sessions which are going to improve the serve power to make sure that we're up to level 15 by the next tournament, which seems an important thing to do. Obviously this is a big balancing act from one of the things I talked about earlier. So you've got to make sure you focus in the right places. So how do we do that? Well, as you can see here, we've got a number of training slots throughout the day. Now, the way I like to do this is this is what's called a medium workload, but I like to work on this one, which is a heavy workload rather than a super heavy workload. This seems to be doable, and the player doesn't really negatively react to this. So the way I would typically have it is more like this. So we've got rest days in between each one of those heavy days, and the other thing I make sure that I do here is I'll have one heavy bit of training and then one lighter training where we've got 2 together. Where it's just one, then I'll have a heavy training on those days. So this seems to work well. I would love to know if anyone's tried the super heavy regularly and whether that works. But this way I think you're maximizing the amount of opportunity to train your player. You've got the most amount of slots used, but still you're not too tired at the end of the week. And so what I'll be doing to set up training is, so for example, it's set this up for me right now, and so I know I need to improve my service power. So right at the start here, we'll put in a powerful serve there. So we're going to chuck in that powerful serve. That's also going to improve service accuracy a little bit. These dots indicate the levels that the relative levels that each one of these is going to have in terms of its effect. So service power is going to be big, serve accuracy not so big. So then we don't want something like this winning return up next, because that's quite a heavy one. So what else do we need to improve? So this is what I'll be doing. I'll go down. We want to improve our focus. So let's go and have a look at focus. Let's have a look at focus. Well, let's come down here and we will filter here for focus. So we've got a few things here. We've got send irregular balls here. That's a medium one with focus of 2. What else have we got? We've got focus of 2 here. This is light with tactical skill. This looks like the right one for us. We also improve tactical, so on the body training. There we go. So next up, what do we want to do? We want to improve our, well, I'm always looking to improve our stamina. We want to get that high as we possibly can. That's really, really important. So to improve stamina, best thing to improve stamina is your endurance test. So we'll pop an endurance test in there. Right. Okay, next up. Well, our tactical skills are reasonably high, but let's try and push those tactical skills a little bit higher than they already are. Okay, so here we go. Tactical skills here. This is a medium, and then alongside that we will put some light training in, put our serve power in, just to try and make sure we get that alongside the powerful serve there, and hopefully overall that's going to improve things. So then we got 2-in-1 training is there. This is a bit of a rest one there. We don't want that just there. What we might do is take that out. We'll put some speed training in, and then the quick charge to the net. Oop. That's not what we want. We'll then chuck some volley training in like that, and on the Sunday we will improve our physical condition with the presser therapy. And that is kind of the process I go through to decide training, and we'll do this each week where we've got where we don't have a tournament. Fairly simple, doesn't take particularly very long. You just have to move between this report window and then the training window. You can organise this 2 weeks in advance, and that's as far as you can go, or you can let your staff do it, but I strongly recommend that you do it yourself. Okay, last little tip before we finish up here. If you get knocked out of a tournament early, so for example in the first match on the Tuesday, don't immediately click on. Go into your training tab, and you will come back to the academy, and you will have training options available then for the rest of the week. So make use of those training options. You know, you've knocked out the tournament, but why not use that time to improve 1 or 2 of your players' attributes, so next tournament you may be a little bit more ready for things. Anyway, folks, that is training. As I said before, please give me your advice. What do you do with training? What do you think of my approach to training? Does it work? Is there some massive flaw in it? I want to hear from you in the comments. If you've enjoyed this episode and enjoyed this Tennis Manager content on this channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. We've got lots of tennis related goodies on this channel, also Football Manager content if you enjoy that sort of thing. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Goodbye.